Investigate. Analyze. Uncover.
Hello everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Paranormal Prism. Today I have got some people that have travelled from one side of Canada to the other. They probably went out for milk, got lost, came back again. This is the Maritime Ghost Investigation team. There's three of them because we've only got like 3 spaces. We've got Jay. Jay, say hi. We've got Rebecca. Say hi. And we've got Vanessa. Say hi. So, you three, welcome to the Paranormal Prism. Thank you for putting some time to one side to talk to me. So, how's everyone doing today, apart from the fact that we've already asked that off camera? How's everyone doing today?
Very good. Excited.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
You're most welcome. And it's all about, like, it's one big community. The paranormal universe is one big community. So, yeah, to speak to you guys, you may do things different to how we do things in Ottawa. And people on the West Coast may do things different to how we do. But it's all one big community. So to get you guys on our podcast or on my podcast, it's great because it builds bridges and like everyone becomes one big happy family. So I'm going to put Jay on the spot first because you're the boss, apparently.
The boss man.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you about Maritime Ghost Investigations, and then I want individual stories. So, Jay, how did Maritime Ghost Investigations come about?
Yeah, it really started, I'm not sure if you saw on our webpage, it might be mentioned in our YouTube too. Rebecca and I, we first kind of came into the paranormal realm back in 2010. And when we were still living in British Columbia there, we had some friends of ours at the time invite us down to Arizona. And long story short, we went to this mining town with them, Jerome, Arizona, and did this little ghost hunt that this hotel ran. And it used to be a former hospital back in the day during the mining. And we were hooked right then and there to the point where even though we were in a fancy timeshare condo with our friends, we said, let's spend the night. And so we did. We spent one night, 2 different rooms. They had theirs and we had ours. And the stuff we experienced between the ghost hunt and then that night kind of got us on our path. And that's kind of where, when we came across Canada back in 2024 and met with Rebecca, or Vanessa and her husband, Grant, in PEI with the RV, we had talked to them and said, yeah, we're coming across Canada and looking to set up shop. And we've always been interested in paranormal. I've done many videos over the years. And Vanessa's like putting their hand up and counting us in, and the rest is history. But yeah, both Rebecca and Vanessa could probably fill in the blanks that I probably missed. But that was kind of the start at least of how we kind of got into it. And then just kind of migrate over here. It came up with the name Maritime Ghost Investigations, where before it was just Rebecca and I, basically on our trips. We just did a lot of our trips, and a lot of our routes were ping-ponging, hitting the hot spots across western USA through California and Oregon. And got a lot of good captures there, but some of the best captures we've actually received with MGI have been right in this province of Nova Scotia.
Oh, that's good. So have you, or I'll come to you in a second, Vanessa, but have you two experienced it like at an early age, any paranormal activity? Or is it the fact that you just got the bug a few years ago and then went from there?
Yeah, my mom and dad, as I mentioned earlier, they immigrated from England. And my mom's uncle, Robert, was a spiritualist. And so he kind of shared all that information with my mom when she was a little girl. And then they went to go see a demonstration from Harry Edwards. And so my mom and dad were spiritualists. So I grew up in a house that was very, very open. My dad was a sheet metal instructor by day, and he was a medium. And he mentored a lot of mediums. So I grew up in a household where this was all, whatever, can I say the word normal? It was normalized. So lots of experiences, especially when I was a little one. We lost our. Go
I don't
ahead.
think there's any such thing as normal. Yeah, in this day and age, there's no
I know,
such
right?
thing as normal.
That's right.
What growing up with that was just how it was. So I didn't know any different. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Vanessa, your turn. How did you start getting into the paranormal?
So I started into mediumship. I took an interest into psychic mediumship and paranormal around 2018, and it has just taken off for me from there. Growing up, I was very connected, but unlike Rebecca, it wasn't something that our family spoke of or that was seen as normal. So I kind of pushed it down. As an example, I remember sitting out. This is funny. I remember sitting out on my front lawn as a little girl, and I was probably 8 years old or so, maybe a year or two in the difference. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was sitting alone on my front lawn, and I remember feeling like I was surrounded by very tall, sentient white beings. So very tall, very white, kind of translucent, sentient beings. And there was a number of them. I have to say there was probably 6 or 8. And they surrounded me as I was sitting there. And I remember feeling the sensation of them saying, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Or what do you want to do? Sorry, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said to them out loud, and I spoke this out loud, I said, "I want to talk to dead people." And I remember one responding to me saying, "Oh, you will." And that was it. They were gone. And that was a memory that I didn't recall for many, many years later. And then another time, I remember sitting on my front step as a young girl, probably maybe 12, 13 years old at this point. And I was with a bunch of kids from the community. And we were, sitting on the front step, just hanging out as we always did, chatting, having fun, being kids. And I remember looking up the road, and there was a light that I could see turning off and on in the attic of this house on the other side of the street up the road a little ways. And I remember saying to my friends, "Do you guys see that light turning off and on?" And they're like looking up the road at the house, and all of them said, "Yeah, we see it." And I'm like, weird, because I don't know why it keeps turning off and on. And they're like, "Yeah, we don't know either." When I first started the spiritual journey and started doing mediumship readings, one of those people came to see me for a reading. And I was a little bit shocked because they were a childhood friend that I hadn't seen in many, many years. And she came in and she said, "Vanessa, I have to tell you, I'm not surprised that you're a psychic medium." And I was kind of taken back by it. And I said, "Well, why?" And she said, "Do you remember that time that we were all sitting out front on your front step and you saw the light turning on and off in the attic of the house up the road?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember that." And she said, "Not one of us saw the light turning off and on." But she said, "You were so convinced. None of us had the heart to tell you we couldn't see it." So I kind of joked and I said, "I wish you had told me that, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, because I would have probably maybe thought more of it." But anyway.
But you probably wouldn't have gone down the road that you've currently gone down if they had said, "Vanessa, you're talking garbage. We can't see anything." So everything happens for a reason. So how do you combine your mediumship with MGI?
We all kind of have our special kind of like skill set and what we're good at. And the really beautiful thing about MGI is we all have stepped into different roles that we feel comfortable in. And so when we go on site to a paranormal investigation location, I really just do what I love to do. I feel the energy. I might see spirit. I'll feel signs. I'll get colors. And the really cool thing, I think, is the investigative evidence that comes up. So as an example, I remember being at one location, I think it was on Briar Island about this time last year. And we were doing an investigation, and I said, I can't remember what I had said exactly, but something about, I feel something coming or from this location or this direction. And the evidence of the camera picked up some kind of anomaly that was coming from the direction that I was feeling and pointing to in that moment. So I'm continuously shocked to feel that, and for me to say, like, I feel something coming from that direction, but then for it to be caught as evidence on camera is really kind of neat for me to experience too.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, you've got your mediumistic skills. You've got a spiritualist background, Rebecca. Jay, what's your expertise?
Yeah, so I sent you all the hyperlinks to our socials there with the videos and the layout of all that. So I'm that guy. So some of the videos Vanessa's provided for me for footage that she took years ago, and here in Nova Scotia there, and I was able to collect it and edit it and do overlaps and all that. And I just did one just put one out just half hour ago as well. So I'm the technical guy. So I have a lot of gadgets. So I'm the gadget guy, and I know Vanessa also has a few in her arsenal. And then, but I'm the video editor and listen for the EVPs and doing the overlays. And a lot of times, Rebecca and Vanessa don't know exactly what I've caught yet till they watch the video. And I might share a few little clips like, "Ooh, it's gonna be a good one. I got some stuff you guys don't know about yet," and they'll see it for the first time as well. So it's kind of fun for me. I get excited seeing what we've caught, put it together there, present it to the public, see the comments, and then it's really awesome watching both these Rebecca and Vanessa working together. We did an investigation in a private home outside of Lunenburg, or in Lunenburg, I should say, and they were both doing their magic with mediumship, and it was just great just being almost like a spectator with the camera and just hearing what they were catching and picking up on. And then sure enough, throughout the night, it validated over and over again that we've done a lot of investigations there. So I love saying that, Vanessa, something's playing with your hair, and I have validation because I have that SLS camera with the stick figure. And sure enough, there's something on her head, so it's a validation there. She's just not feeling it or picking it up. I said, "Yeah, here it's legit. There's a humanoid figure on your head." So it's pretty cool to be on that end, as both her and Rebecca at times do their thing there.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you find that you've got any abilities yourself? And both ladies, if you could kind of jump in and say it's to see if you've actually noticed if Jay does actually have any abilities that he won't admit to.
Yeah, there's prior to coming to Nova Scotia in BC, we had an older home built in the 30s, and no, I definitely I've seen orbs like without a camera, like bright flashes. And in our house there, and sure enough, went upstairs, super cold presence there, and hearing footsteps come down the stairs. So at times I see stuff out of the corner of my eyes. So I do at times pick up on stuff, and that's the only one I could think of.
I'd say Jay is highly intuitive. And one place that we went to, I'll just say Lunenburg County, when we were getting set up to stay at this place, I saw someone as clear as day walk past. I thought, what's Jay doing now? Because I was in the car with our dogs while he kind of got it figured out. And then I saw a cat. So I saw a white cat in the window, and then a nice fluffy chocolatey brown cat. And then sure enough, we're just starting to do our investigation, and Jay sees this brown cat identical to what I saw. So he's seeing things too.
That's right.
Like Vanessa and I see. I think we all have that ability. We're all intuitive. For sure.
So I'm going to ask all three of you the same question. One thing that I like to ask people that got abilities, if they see, if they hear, if they feel, etc. But the next question comes along the lines of, if you do see entities, let's just call them that, because obviously we can't confirm for definite that spirits and ghosts exist. We know they probably do, but we can't prove it. So for you three, when you see something, whether it be a spirit of an animal or a human, how do you see it? Now, what I mean by that is, do you see it like I always use the term the white sheep with the cutout eyes, but I know that that's not the thing. But do you see it as a shadow? Do you see it like a person that you can't tell if they've passed or not? Is there like an aura around the person? How does seeing these images come across to you three as individuals?
I see, particular pets that we've had from childhood to being adults, clear as day. And I know they're gone, so I know that I'm seeing them, they're having a little visit. And just sometimes while we're doing investigations, or if we're just on a hike somewhere, I'll see stuff out of the corner of my eye, and then I look and it's gone. But it seems very clear as day again, but out of the periphery. And then we were at a little park, and I saw a really tall gentleman tinkering in a public greenhouse. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I look and he's gone. I'm like, huh, where did he go? No one was there. So that's how I see people and animals.
For me, it's interesting because I find myself in a lot of different settings. I'm a psychic medium, so that's what I do day to day. I am also a very public psychic medium, so I do public events, readings up on stage. What I think is the best way that I see spirit, the best way I can explain it, is what I call kind of a reverse shadow. So when you see a shadow up against a wall, it's dark. You're seeing the outline, the silhouette of a flower, let's say a flower. And it's dark. The shape of the flower is typically darker than maybe the paint on the wall. For me, when I see spirit, it's reverse. So the flower shape becomes lighter than the color of the wall. So that's how I can see spirit. Now, everybody's different. I'm very clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, and claircognizant. So I see, feel, hear, and know spirit messages. But I also, from time to time, will get smell or I'll get taste. And so it just really depends. I know that for MGI, when we've gone on paranormal investigations, I've had a mixture of seeing things. I've been, somebody's touched my hair, or, I get a sensation that somebody's touching my hair, speaking to me, growling at me. I mean, it could be anything really, but typically for seeing spirit, I'll see in what I call sort of a reverse shadow. But I also, very much like Rebecca, may get a shadow, like a shadow figure is what I would call it, that might just kind of zip across from one spot to the next. But by the time by the time I catch up to it, sort of with my eyes, I guess, it's gone. It's already gone and out of sight. But it's quite interesting.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's ever been a human, like you mentioned, the cat.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of that. Like I said, I'm more, maybe the abilities are there. I just haven't enhanced them yet. So that's where the tech comes in. I'm the techie guy that hopefully the gear, the camera, or the EMF, or we have the Connect SLS camera with the stick figure piece there, and that's kind of my verification there that something's there. But I don't quite have the abilities honed quite as well as these two. So yeah.
Okay. So part of your description is you combine mediumship, which we've kind of just mentioned, technical analysis, which we've kind of just mentioned, and historical research. So for Jay, if you're going to a location, do you tell the ladies where you're going beforehand, or do you bring them in blind, so to speak, so everything is fresh for them?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So that's definitely the way we roll with MGI. I'm not only the tech guy, I'm the quasi historian of the location we're heading to. So We've been to Mount's Mansion in Nova Scotia as well, in that private home in Lunenburg, and a few other locations. And so basically, I'll do all the research through online, through AI, whatever it takes to get as much detail about the location itself. And I'll have my own script there. And the ladies right away, both Rebecca and Vanessa, don't tell us anything. Whatever you do, don't tell us. I'm like, okay. But sometimes I have a tendency to chirp. And so, yeah, we go into each location. And and I know that the Lunenburg, the private home we did, which for the amount of time we were there, really only a few hours, we got a lot of evidence. And we went into it. I basically, I'm kind of the semi-director there in terms of, like, I already know the layout of the home and talking with the homeowner and kind of the game plan, so to speak. So I'll share that with the ladies. And then that's it. After we get to the site, for that, going back to that private home in Lunenburg, off they go, do their thing. One's in the basement, one's upstairs, and they come back, share everything, and then the homeowner's just taken aback because I share with her as well as because I have a conversation with the homeowner prior to get the lowdown, and she's just they're just taken aback by how much that the ladies are just nailing, and it's so that's the fun part for me, just to have that knowledge there, and then after the investigation, I'll share it in or embed it in the videos.
So, at what point would you confirm information? So, you said that you're kind of like the historian. If you've got some information and one of the ladies kind of ticks that particular box, at what point will you tell them that they're correct? Would it be like right there, right then, or would it be after the event, or when you're doing your editing afterwards?
No, for the Lunenburg home, it wasn't really till at the end of the night, I think, because it's a multi-hour event. So I'm literally just behind the camera and keeping on the QT there. So they are still experiencing and developing and sensing, and so it's really when the final cut, the final curtain comes, then there'll be an explanation. Or I know in that same home, the homeowner had shared as they were talking there, like she'd be nodding her head or looking at me going like that. So there'd be a bit of a heads up that one of the ladies nailed something there, and so she might have shared like, yeah, what you're talking about is my aunts or whatever. Like she would share that on the spot. But everything I have, I keep kind of bottled up till the end. Like with the Mounts Mansion, we did 2 nights on that. And it wasn't until the next day, because once again, it's a 2-day event. So once again, I know the history of the players, the history of the house. But yeah, so that's a lock and key for me. And so yeah, that's how usually Tippy rolls.
Yeah. And I think that's the right way to go, because I've worked with a couple of mediums, and every single one of them does exactly what the 2 ladies say. Don't tell me a thing. Because if you've got prior information, that's then going to contaminate your thoughts because you already know something. So, have you actually? This is something that we tried recently. Have you ever blindfolded them before you've got there to see if they can pick up on anything prior to getting to the location? If you haven't, I recommend it. Get them both in a car and blindfold them so they don't know where they're going, and then see if they can pick up on stuff before they get there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that on TV shows where they literally, the psychic medium is blindfolded, nothing about the location, and they're literally let into the house, so they don't even see the outside of the house. And or on the way there, they video that individual in the car, and they're like, "I'm picking up on this." So no, I agree. I've seen it before, and we'll see what the ladies think about that.
Sure. One thing.
Go on.
Sorry, Lee. One thing that I typically do is I have no idea, any history or anything like that. So I like to have a little quiet time, probably 2 days before we go in the evening after I do my meditation. And then I do the automatic writing. And so then I come prepared. because I don't like being put on the spot either. That's just my personality. So that makes me feel, connected to the property or the person or whatever it may be prior to going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want you to do the next time you go out, put Vanessa in a car, blindfolded, just drive her to a field and just leave her. See how long it takes her to go, guys. So, Vanessa, at the beginning, you mentioned that you've got, and like say, if I say the wrong word, please correct me because I'm from England. We don't use the correct term sometimes. Like your Indigenous background. How do you use your spiritual faith from your, what's the correct word? Your people, so to speak. I just got a complete blank of what the word I'm looking for.
Ancestors?
That's it. That's the word I was looking for. How does that kind of revolve into what you do now? Like, because of your spiritual background, because a lot of Indigenous people do have a lot of spiritualist kind of faith and understanding, whereas, like, especially me from England, it's like, what? Yeah, I ain't got a clue. So how does your background and your ancestors bring you into MGI, and does it affect you in different ways?
So I follow a lot of Indigenous practices, like traditional ways, and my grandmother and my great-grandmother on my mother's side were the last two medicine women on our nation. And I feel like they're there with me through the work that I'm doing. In terms of medicines, I've learned through experience that it's important for me to smudge. I smudge to clear energy from me and my equipment, both before and after each and every session. So, or in any location. So if I'm reading or if I'm out with MGI, one of the things that the rules that I have in place is that if I'm going with a team or with people to do any kind of investigation, everybody there has to agree before we leave that they will smudge afterwards. Because I've run into a number of situations as I was kind of learning the ropes of how to do this and safely do this. I've learned that sometimes you can take a spirit home with you. And it's really not, I don't recommend it. I recommend that the spirits stay where they're at. And so I'm very grateful for, for the medicines and for my Indigenous teachings and having my ancestors with me.
Okay. Now, I'm so glad that you mentioned about attachments, because you're going to go nuts now. I can guarantee that you're not going to be impressed with what I'm about to say. Somebody said to me, have you ever had an attachment? And I went, no, but I would love one. And they went, what? And I went, I'm a paranormal investigator. If I get an attachment, think how much research I could do in my own home. I've got something with me, and if it starts moving stuff around, I'm going to get my cameras out and I'm going to record it because I'm looking for that evidence. And they went, you're crazy. And I went, yeah, but if you're positive towards that, they try to break you down. They try to like make your life hell, so to speak. But if you're positive towards it and you actually investigate it and looking forward to them doing the next thing, it's sort of like, yeah, bring it on. Think about the footage. Think about the evidence that I'm going to get. It's going to be amazing. I do respect what you just said, that in an ideal world. But I just thought, hang on a minute. If this is going to happen, like, I'm going to record the crap out of this, and I'm going to get all the evidence and go, look, this has happened. So, Vanessa and Rebecca, when you two go to an investigation, do you kind of bounce off each other, or and do your abilities like get stronger, if you like, when you're working together? Yeah, how does it work when you two are kind of like side by side?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I really love working with Vanessa because
Oh,
we vibe very well. I met Vanessa through a course where we were learning to enhance our intuition and many other pieces to that too. And as soon as I met Vanessa, I was like, oh, she gets me. I get her. Soulmates. So when I find that Vanessa and I speak during, one of our investigations, typically what we do is we sort of split up, and then we go like this, like ships that pass through the night and cover the whole house, and then we almost compare notes. And then when we're going around as a 3-pack, I would say that happens where Vanessa and I just, bounce things off of each other and like, oh, this and that. And it's so much fun, and it's very validating. And then Jay's
and
there catching evidence with all of his
yeah,
gadgets
I was going to
behind
say,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's there with the camera getting whiplash.
That's
sort of
right.
like
Pretty
moving,
much. Pretty
moving
much.
between the two.
Yeah, it's a ping pong, right? And
Yeah.
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 Sort of like, God, my neck's sore. Will you two kind of like stop moving?
Yeah.
So, question for 3 of you. Have you ever felt like you did not want to be in a location and you kind of had to leave? Is that, no, you don't have to ask to go to the bathroom, Vanessa. You could just go. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. So, have all 3 of you like been to a location where you thought, yeah, this is a bad negative vibe. I don't want to be here, and I don't want to investigate. Go on, Vanessa. You put your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm like, which one? So there was a location that I did in Sydney, Nova Scotia. I was at this location, which was the home of a couple of ladies that I was there with at the time. My husband's also a medium, so he was there doing this. The intention was him and I had gone down and we did a reading for a group of people in the home that afternoon. That evening, we were doing a paranormal investigation there, he and I. And it was interesting because we had set up the equipment and we had everything recording, and it got really active really fast in the basement of this house. And all of a sudden, there was somebody. So my husband was standing in front of me in a doorway, and all of a sudden, I felt somebody, or no, sorry, I saw somebody come up behind him, but it was a spirit. And the moment that I saw somebody come up behind him, he said, "Oh, I feel like somebody's behind me." And I'm like, "Yep, they are." A minute later, the 2 ladies that were in the home, one was the homeowner and the other was a friend, were sitting on the stairs off to my left. And there was a great big clank, like somebody had taken a can of pop or a can of something, and thrown it on the floor. And so it startled all of us that were there, startled all 4 of us, but the 2 ladies both screamed and jumped off the stairs because it had happened right next to them. Knowing that I was the more senior investigator on the premises, if I left, there was nobody left to take over from me. So it took me back for a minute. I literally took about 2 steps back from where I was standing because all of this happened so quickly and so close together. I needed to kind of get my balance and catch my breath. And I know I went into sort of fight flight mode for a second because every fiber in my body said run. And then I'm like, I can't run. If I run, the whole investigation's over. So I took a step back, I regrouped, and I stepped forward again. And then we went on and we investigated. I would have to say that is one of the probably stronger investigations that we did. But also at the same time, there was a moment where I would have rather gone out the door. I'm glad I didn't, and everything worked out. And it was a really great experience. But for me, that was definitely the one time I could have ran.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs., your turn.
Oh, I have one, only one. I'm very much a physical empath with people on this plane and the other. So I go by the feeling. And we were in Jerome, Arizona, and doing a tour. And there was this room. And I went to walk in to this space, and it was like someone stopped me. And I went, okay, I'll listen. I'm sometimes not good at listening, but I did that time. And I turned around and I left. My badge. And then after the fact, Jay told me that was the morgue. And I thought, okay. And so that's my one and only time where I felt like a little bit, like creeped out by something. And that was when we were looking at the carpenter's place. I'm sorry, I have to let the puppy in.
Yeah, and to play off, to fill in the rest of the story there was, I was thinking the same one. I think I already knew, because it was in a TV show previous, and this location there. But also the landowner said this is the morgue they had from the hospital that we stayed at, which is now a hotel, the Jerome Grand Hotel. And so yeah, I already knew that was the morgue, and didn't tell everyone, or I can't remember how that worked out, if I told them before or after. But long story short, so yeah, Rebecca never came in. I went in there, of course, with my tech gear, took a few EVPs in there, and we definitely got some voice phenomena. And the interesting stuff about that EVP was I did the editing on it and posted it, and I swear every time I played it, this bad stuff would happen. I don't know, just I was convinced that every time I heard it, it was not good. So I actually went back to my video and put that on the front, that like a warning. There's our puppy there, and just to say warning that this content could be harmful or whatever. That's the first time I've ever done that. That's the only time I've ever done it on our investigations there. But I just thought I better do that just in case there is more to what I caught. And so I thought that was the right thing to do.
So you can see why I didn't go in.
Yeah,
making good life choices.
Yeah. Now, and further to what I said a few minutes ago about getting an attachment, I've got a history of being in the emergency services. So when everybody else is going that way, I'm going that way. So if somebody says to me that this feels really negative, because I'm always cautious, because obviously being in the emergency services, you have to do like a dynamic risk assessment before you go into any location. But I would still tentatively walk forward, just to, because as an investigator and as a podcast, I want to experience as much as I can, because it's the only way that you learn. So if one of you two ladies said to me, "Don't go into that room because it's negative," it's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to roll my sleeves up a little bit, and I'm going to kind of take a few tentative steps just to see if I can sense or feel anything. And if I can't, I'll take a few more, and I'll do it cautiously. And I think that's I'm not being like endangering myself. I'm still being cautious, but for you to experience some of these instances that happen, you sometimes got to take that leap of faith, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I can kind of relate to what you're saying. I was also in Jerome, Arizona a couple of years ago and went on a paranormal investigation. And it was in the basement of an old high school that was there, that was turned over to sort of a makeshift hospital because of a plague that had come through a number of years ago. And as we're going through the tour of this high school, I mean, there was spirit everywhere. I could see them, I could hear them. They were making noises. It was a very, very active location. Before we went in there, we were told, we're going to visit a spot in the basement where you're not allowed to go. When I questioned further why, it was because a number of people over the years, because the school had been closed for a number of years since the plague, and I was told that a number of people had broken in, and there was a lot of satanic cult kind of activity that had happened in there. People would break in and call in spirits and a lot of evil, and they wouldn't let us go in. So I'm very much like you, Lee, in that I don't like to be told I can't do something. It just kind of piques my curiosity a little bit more. So we get down there, and I'm that one that breaks away from the rest of the group. And so I'm taking a few steps in, and I take a few steps more. And as I'm getting deeper into the darkness of the hallway, I believe that I have a spirit team that I work with. I have spirit guides. And I got a few steps into this area where they told us we're not allowed, and my own team stopped me. So they're like, nope, time to go back to the rest of the group. So in those cases, I was curious, but I also trust the team that I work with to keep me safe. I wish I had been able to go further, but I can completely relate to what you're saying. When somebody tells me I can't do something in the paranormal world, I'm going for it. I'm doing it anyway, until my own team tells me no.
Yeah, I don't listen to it. I don't listen to a lot of people, but it gets me into trouble. But hey, what are you going to do? Kill me? So we've talked about the worst experiences. Let's talk about your most favourite, because one of my most favourite ones. I was at an investigation December, and I was in we call them stately homes in the UK, but basically one of these buildings where they want to bring it back to how it looked like 100 years ago or whatever. And the ground floor was all how it used to look, and they were refurbishing the upstairs. So I went into the upstairs, and I'm stood in like a window area, so I've got my back to the glass, and I felt like a little child's hand grabbed 3 of my fingers. My hand was hanging out of my pocket. My thumb was in my pocket, but the rest of my arm and my hand was hanging out. And it just felt like a child grabbed my 3 fingers. Being a logical person, I automatically thought that it was cobwebs. But if my arm's kind of like teapot handle kind of shape, any cobwebs are going to get knocked out by my shoulder or my elbow. So I could not explain it. But if people ask, that's one of my most favourite experiences. So what is it for you guys?
One of my favorites is I'm retired now, but I worked in the helping profession for about 28 years, and I was a trauma therapist. And I rented a room in this cute little house, and the space just felt amazing. And there's a lot of words and actions in there that, people are releasing stuff. So we decided to do an investigation because I was hearing, dingling of keys and footsteps, and I don't get creeped out. So I'd go out of my room and no one else is there, not a soul. So I thought we should do an investigation. So we did. And we were up in the attic, and we caught a little elemental on the SLS for the longest capture. And I was interacting, and I'm small, I'm like 5 feet. So they made me go into the upper corner of the attic because I could fit. And so I was crawling along and had some interaction with this little elemental. And at the same time, we got her name. And it being from England, the elementals and all of that's really important. It brings a lot of love and healing. So to me, that's why that whole building and the whole space was just so, all of my clients walked in and said, this space is so inviting and loving. And I swear it was because of that little elemental. And that was our best SLS capture we've ever had. It was amazing. So, and I brought little crystals the next day for her and some other little things. So it was just, I loved it.
Okay. Jay, you can't pick the same one.
I can confirm it was very small that she saw, and in one of our longest for sure. Like it was fidgeting. Just to add to the story, there was fidgeting around. It was sitting, but it was fidgeting around. And then as soon as we told Rebecca to walk towards it,
crawl.
It was like it just stopped fidgeting. It's almost like, does she see me? But no, yeah, I referenced earlier some of, I feel, the best captures we've got was this opportunity we had on the South Shore of Nova Scotia. We just had a vacation over there and stayed at this house. And yeah, so I had some new cameras that I purchased, and the intent of these, they're continuous recording, that they're super discreet, and IR capable, of course, for the night vision, and they trigger every time there's sound or movement. And there's, so set them all through the house, and not really knowing the location. Even if, we didn't even know if it was haunted. It was just a location. But I thought, well, it's a house that's 120 years old. There's got to be some, right? That was my theory. And so I had one camera set up in the hallway, and it just happened to shoot into our bedroom. So we had a king bed, and yeah, it was. There was two occurrences. So the first occurrence was right in the dead of night, like 3 a.m. And we didn't know this till we went through the footage the next day. And once again, to kind of give you the layout, I sleep under the sheets, and Rebecca has a weighted blanket there. So she sleeps on top of the sheets with a weighted blanket there. And so what I'm going to tell you there, it couldn't have happened any other way. So with the footage, out of nowhere, the top blanket, so the comforter, just got ripped off us. And you could see this in the footage. And it just happened so quick. And so I went back, being the tech guy, totally broke it down, slowed it down, and even further there, because it happened so quick. Our dogs were in our room with us, and but we didn't see if they reacted or not. But when I really slowed it down, I think I slowed it down 10 times, you could actually see this gray hand, just shaped like this. It was just a gray, with that silhouette, but gray, on Rebecca's side. And just as that showed up in the footage, then the blanket just got pulled. And once again, she's under she's under a weighted blanket, not even under the sheets, so she didn't do one of these. And so that was the one thing. And then the following night, or the following day, 7 in the morning, so not super late at night, I literally got woken up by, I've never been touched by a spirit until this time, and I was dead asleep on my back. And once again, that same camera caught 2 toe pulls as I'm laying on my back. Just, and you could actually see it through the comforter. These 2 toe pulls, hard enough that that woke me up, and you'll see it in the footage there where I actually wake up, and then I think I just go back to sleep until, once again, I look at the footage next day. And I kid you not, it was like 2 or 3 days, that toe just felt different. It just had this weird sensation to it. And we've never caught any evidence of interaction like that before. And but yeah, that's probably my 2 favorites. And so yeah, we're hoping to go there again someday and do some more investigating.
When you do, remember somebody in Ottawa. Like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Just saying. Okay. Vanessa, your turn.
So I have 2 that are kind of similar, but the first one was in my early days of investigating. I had gone to a graveyard, and I was with a couple other people. I was with my stepmom and another lady that Rebecca and I were studying with at the time. And we had gone because what better place, we thought, to find a spirit than a graveyard to communicate with and see, kind of test our abilities. And the funny thing was, we didn't really feel anything while we were there. On my drive home, a friend of mine had called, and she wasn't feeling well. She wanted to come with us that evening and couldn't. So she was calling to see how things had gone. And the phone rang, and I'm driving down the highway, and I had an old Bluetooth that I used to clip on my visor at the time, because I had an older style car. And so this Bluetooth was clipped onto my visor, and I answered the phone. I said, hello. And she said, hi. She said, I'm just wondering how tonight went. And all of a sudden, my phone went crackly. The deepest, darkest baritone voice came over my Bluetooth and said, it was a male voice that said, how low can you go? But it was like, how low can you go? I can't even talk that deep. And my phone went dead. The phone went black, and it cut out, and that was it. So I called her back and I said, that's not funny. Don't be messing with me. I thought she had done it. I thought that she was just messing with me. Anyway, she swore up and down. She said, Vanessa, it wasn't me. She said, I heard it too. And then the phone went dead. The next time it happened was a couple of years later, and I was at Citadel Hill. Same car, same Bluetooth, and we had done a paranormal investigation there at Citadel Hill. I had my stepmom was with me. Her and I do a lot of paranormal stuff together, and she had her vehicle was parked down the hill. So I said, why don't you hop in my car? Because I was closer to the main door, the main gate. And I said, hop in my car and I'll drive you down to yours. So she was doing that. And as she was getting in my car, my Bluetooth, which was turned off, by the way, goes, it was a female's voice in a high pitch. She goes, well, that was fun. And my mother, she gets in the car, she goes, who was that? And I said, I'm looking at my Bluetooth. I'm like, that was my Bluetooth. And so we both kind of laughed and said, get the smudge kit out. So we smudged the car, smudged all of our equipment, and we went on with our night. So I think those were the two most fun experiences that I've had.
And I always find it fascinating that you've kind of got the people that can give stories like we've all just given. And then you get the other people that go, none of it exists. It's all BS. And I went to a public event a couple of months ago now. And this guy goes, yeah, it's all BS. I don't believe in any of that. Okay, all right. And I went, have you ever seen $1 million? No. Well, how do you know it exists? And he could see his brain was ticking. And I went, have you ever seen an atom? No. Well, your body's made out of atoms. And you kind of get this negativity from some of them, from some people, but then you turn it around against them and they just go, okay. But then you kind of get the people that go, I don't believe in it. However, this one time, and then they go into a story. So have you guys ever experienced any negativity that you've then kind of turned around and used to your advantage, so to speak?
I think I can speak for myself on that one. Up until about 2016, I didn't believe in paranormal. I didn't believe that there was spirit. I mean, even though I had experienced it as a young girl, I could explain it away in my own mind, right? Oh, it was just my thoughts that I thought I saw sentient beings, or I didn't see those lights flickering in that house up the road. It was just my mind, or maybe the lights of another house. I think you can always explain things away. And it wasn't until, like I said, about 2016 that things started to happen around me that really got my attention. And it opened up my perspective to the spirit world. Now, again, like we talked about earlier, Lee, I'm the type of person that if I want to believe something exists, or people tell me I can't do something, I need to experience it on my own, or I need to try. And it was around that time that there was some spiritual things going on that I thought, okay, it's got my attention. I'm going to join this this course that claims it can teach me how to connect with spirit. And I remember when I told my husband that I joined this course, he came home from work one night. I said, oh, I joined this spiritual course that's going to teach me how, if spiritual connection really exists. And he laughed at me and he said, what do you hope to be, a medium? Because he thought I was wasting our money. And today, this is what I do professionally. And my husband is very connected. And like I said earlier, we've done readings together. So I've gone from being a non-believer to very much believing. And today, this is what I do.
Yeah. Well, we know where all Jay and Rebecca's retirement funds go into, all new equipment. So we've already got that sorted. What about you two guys? How have you dealt with any negativity?
Well, I just feel that I'm not responsible for others, so I feel everyone's on their own path, And because my dad was a medium, he did tell us that when we were young, you know, when I lived at home, maybe don't share that outside of the home because people can be brutal. And so I came across a few people that, you know, I shared with and probably shouldn't have, but I didn't take it personally. I just thought that's where they're at, right? You can't convince anyone of anything. They have to do it on their own. So I've never been too attached, and it makes me kind of chuckle in a way. You know, some of the stuff you're like, oh dear. But it's their path, their journey, their responsibility, not my problem. You know what
Makes
I mean?
sense.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, probably the biggest one I come across. I basically lead the social media piece with the team. And so, yeah, the YouTubes. I actually started with my own regular channel there, put them on there, but now I've migrated quite a few over to MGI from our past experiences. Not all of them, but of course you get the comments, as we all know, on be it TikToks, which I just joined, but more the YouTube piece. Just going back to that toe pole one, of all the videos, I thought he would have commented on the blanket pole, but yeah, it's the wind, like quote unquote. It's like a toe pulls the wind, okay, and in the classic, the dust, and I get it, the orbs and the dust, and yeah, there's probably a few on the videos that we captured that are dust and that are in the videos, but we capture so much footage you could definitely pinpoint which ones are not dust, because yeah, the whole videos you see dust flying by. It's really easy to pick out. It's all one direction there for the most part, and so yeah, it's when you see that one doing a streak across the room and doing a hard right in the back of Rebecca's neck in the bedroom. That's probably something different, and it doesn't have wings. And so yeah, I think there was a comment. It's a bug. Yeah, it was like a straight line and did a hard right turn into her neck. And usually the way I respond to those is I always kind of, if I think of it, not always, I'll incorporate a piece of footage that actually has a bug flying by. And it's a bit more, as we know, bugs aren't straight line. They're doing this, and you can actually at times see the wing flutter, especially if the camera's got high frame rate speed. And so I'll put that in there, and then I'll comment, yes, this is a bug. But these are things that have direction and intent. I always say they have direction and intent. And we've captured these, and probably one of the better ones, going back to verification, was going back to that private home in Lunenburg on the South Shore with Vanessa. With her walkthrough, once again, separate from Rebecca, she was downstairs, and part of her notes she shared was going down the basement, there's this green cabinet, and it's got a slight crack in the door, like the door's cracked open there, and she felt this energy. And she actually described to a T that she could see this ball of energy come out. And there was a lot of noises, and her EMF went off, her K2. And so that I played off of that, but sure enough, I left the cameras there overnight with the owner's permission there. And whatever time of night it was, guess what happened? This ball of energy came out of this cabinet, swung around, and came out of the cabinet there. And it wasn't, yeah, you could tell because it was distorted there. Starting behind it was out of focus. And I overlaid Vanessa's voice from her earlier sharing of her thoughts on that location there, and it was bang spot on. And we happened to capture it. And I always, every time these two capture something there, and if I could validate and lay it on top, part of my new tagline for our group is evidence over entertainment. Like, we're there for the evidence. We're not going to be running the hallway freaking out and overreacting and all that stuff. Like, we're there to capture the evidence, try to get rid of the stuff that doesn't make sense or it's legit death. So that's the only stuff I come across is in comments and YouTube and
and keyboard warriors with ever since COVID especially they've been paramount, but it's like okay, you got no idea what you're talking about. But what I've got a friend of mine that lives in Montreal, and so if I get an EVP, I will send it to him, and he's a bit of a tech head like you are, Jay. And what he will do, he will break the EVP down into like voice waves, and he'll go, this is you talking, this is me talking, this is me banging on a table, and this is what you heard. And you can, and when you break it down to that far, you can see, well, okay, that's one, that's it, and you go, okay, now prove it's not what I thought it was. And and that's kind of my way of doing it. I get the physical evidence. I've got some guys that live in your neck of the woods somewhere. Have you heard of PPRI?
Yeah.
So I'm actually a part of PPRI. I'm one of the instructors for one of the courses. So I send it to Elliot, and he will actually break it down as well and go, the audio wasn't added, the video wasn't tampered with, this kind of thing. And then he sends it back and go, we've been unable to prove what it was.
Nice.
So, So we are coming towards the end, but I've got two more questions for both of you. There's three of you. I can't even count. Come on. So you probably mentioned it already, and if you have, please let me know. But for all three of you, what was your most favourite location to go to? And it doesn't have to be Nova Scotia. It can be, all three of you have been to Arizona, so it could be in Arizona. What, your favourite location you've been to and you'd love to go back?
There's so many good ones. I really liked the USS Hornet. We stayed overnight. And oh my goodness, that was a lot of fun. We got about an hour of sleep, but caught a lot of evidence and just met some really awesome people. It was fun. And there were some men that served on the ship that were part of the tour. So it made it really special. And that was very intriguing, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the same one.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, the USS Hornet, retired aircraft carrier, just outside of San Francisco there. But I already referenced the Jerome Grand Hotel. We've been there, I think, 4 or 5 times overnight, and it doesn't disappoint. And just with everything we've caught and witnessed there, like I said, that was the turning point for me. Going back to Vanessa's earlier story there, I didn't grow up in a spiritual household, wasn't even thinking about ghosts or paranormal, to be honest. And it just something there just kind of caught my attention there. And here we are years later, and we're producing videos and touring the province and talking to folks like yourself.
Cool. Vanessa?
So mine was a location in Cape Breton. I had gone with my husband, and we had set up recorders on the wall of the ruins of this location that's back in the woods. And my husband had said to me, I see somebody who is a cook. And I said, like a chef? And he said, yeah, like a chef. And the footage captured that night, after he had said that to me, there was a capture of a voice of a male entity that said chef, and it was kind of very gruff. And it's actually one of the videos on our page, of MGI's page now. But you hear this entity go, chef. And it was, so I think that was probably one of my favorite. But I'm with Rebecca and Jay. There's so many. I think every location we go to becomes my favorite.
And and there's so many that we can't go to as well. You've got ones that you go to that may be local to where you live, and you have your favorite local. But if you speak about the states, you've got Eloise, you've got Allegheny, you've got so many that you two can, because you're retired, but some of us have to work, right, Vanessa?
We hit up some really neat spots in the States. What was the hot springs called?
Yeah, Hot Lake Springs.
Hot Lake Springs.
In Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was insane. It was really neat there.
Yeah.
And a lot of evidence captured.
Yeah.
As soon as Jay walked into the place, I wasn't there. I think I was in the truck with the dogs. And someone pounded on the door right away. And he quickly opens the door. No one's in the hallway. And I said, great, we're going to have a good night.
Yeah, it daytime. I was just putting the suitcases in, and there's 2 doors to our room, and it sounded like someone was just trying to get in. Like, it was that loud. I was like, whoa, like, what is going on? Go in the hallway, no one. I was just like, okay, here we go. Doesn't have to be nighttime. I should have my GoPro on my head. Like,
I've learned the hard way about that. I went to one location in the US, and this cabinet door creaked open as we were setting the cameras up. We then spent the next 40 minutes trying to debunk it, and we could not get it to do it again. It's like,
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, last question of the evening for all three of you. What have you learned from your investigations into the paranormal? So if there's one thing that someone said, this is what I've learned after doing paranormal investigation, what is it?
Mine would be just to know there's so much more beyond what we can see, you know, and that there is a continuation after the body goes. And that gives people some peace, you know, or could give people, I shouldn't say it would, it could give people some peace.
Yeah, and I've learned just with hooking up with Vanessa with our group there, going back to the smudging piece, which I didn't have a lot of knowledge on. I think I might have seen the shows, but didn't really kind of understood, but not. And we've used that even in our current house for just feeling some stuff that didn't feel right, be it this house or even our last house in BC. And just learning that is a very powerful piece, and we use it with the Vanessa's help and training, and she supplies some of the medicine to us and teaches us how to do it, and we're still learning a lot from her. So we appreciate her bringing that to the table.
Okay. Vanessa, move to Ottawa. Just saying. Okay, Vanessa, what have you learned?
I have learned a deep respect for spirit, understanding that the people who we're dealing with from the spirit world have crossed over from the physical, and that they carry the same personality, the same characteristics that they did here in the physical world. So, excuse my language, but if they were a mean SOB here in the physical world, and they are earthbound, not in the light, but earthbound as a spirit or a ghost here in the physical still, they know how to be mean. They know how to be scary, right? I always say, if I passed away tomorrow and I wanted to come back and give somebody a fright, all I really have to do is move a pen 2 inches to the right. and they're going and somebody's going to be afraid. The average person will come from fear. So I think it's having a deep respect and understanding that when we cross over, we still carry that same personality, that same characteristic. But I think what's more fascinating is the reasons why people don't move to the light, and why the paranormal world that we investigate have so many spirits here for us to investigate. Why is it that they haven't crossed over? Why, crossed over to go into the spirit world as opposed to being earthbound? So I find that's fascinating. I think that's what I've really concentrated on during the years that I've been doing paranormal investigation.
And I couldn't agree more. It's really bizarre, because yesterday I was at a small Sasquatch convention just in Quebec, and everybody was doing their talks on experiences from the Sasquatch, going camping and seeing something big and hairy. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to speak, because I don't go camping anymore. I used to in the UK, but not over here. So I thought, and I interviewed a guy a few weeks ago, a guy called Travis Watson, who wrote a book called The Forest Poltergeist. And it's like, if you're in the woods and you hear all these noises and you get things thrown at you and you see footprints, why does it have to be a cryptid? Why can't it be a poltergeist or a spirit in the forest? And there was a couple of people there that are quite big in the cryptozoology world, and they went, I'd never thought about that before. And I got so many positive results from that talk. People going, "Oh, that was fabulous!" It makes a change from hearing about, this Bigfoot or this Sasquatch picked me up and ran off with me. You get all those stories all the time, but to give it a different perspective, and it's like it's great, and that's what I like about this. Because even tonight, I feel like we haven't touched the surface. We're talking with you guys, so I'd love to invite you back maybe in the new year, so we can continue and talk about more locations and talk about different things.
Awesome.
That would be great.
But you find that when you talk to people, like you only kind of touch the tip of the iceberg, and it's like I need 3 hours to talk to you guys, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I absolutely thank you for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I now know where Nova Scotia is because no, I knew where it was before. It's that way. It's that way. It's over there. Yes, definitely that way. But thank you for your time. We'll definitely keep in touch. And you have a great rest of the evening. And we'll definitely talk again soon. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Take
Lee.
care.
Thank you for watching Paranormal Prism with me.
Thank for watching Paranormal Prism with me.
Whoa, what was that?
Hold on. Is that? Are you the spirit from the prism? We are always. This is exactly what we investigated. Oh, incredible.